Okay, good morning, party people. It is Sunday, February 25th. Long time no see. I have been so sick. I'm still not 100% better. Annika, the young girl I work with at work, got me sick. Okay, so today we are back in Hosea. Okay, so I have been trying to get through the chapter 9 in Hosea. So for those of you that have not seen any of my videos, I'm going to encourage you to go back to watch the last video I did, because the last video I did was important as to where we're at right now. So the last video I did was on chapter 9 in Hosea, verse 9, okay? So what we were seeing here is, let me show you on my map for those of you that have not seen any of my videos. Okay, so this is the timeline of the nation of Israel. The book of Hosea takes place right here. So this is the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom. This line delineates the fall of the northern kingdom to the kingdom of Assyria. Down here is where we see the southern kingdom fall to the kingdom of Babylon, right? And that's where we see the story of Daniel. So the southern kingdom were the legitimate rulers, right? This is the lineage of King David, Solomon. Jesus comes from this lineage. Up here, these guys are they're the ones that have broken away illegitimately and established the northern kingdom. These guys sometimes are getting along with these guys, and sometimes they fight, right? But these guys are always a mess. These guys are a mess a lot of the times, but these guys are always a mess. And so we just finished the book of Amos. Now we're in the book of Hosea. And what you're seeing with the book of Hosea, as I've mentioned in the previous videos, whereas Amos was always dealing with the because of the religious apostasy and they're falling away from God in the northern kingdom, the repercussions of that affected the society immensely, right? The entire society was turned on its head. There was a ton of corruption, and so that was a huge part of Amos's call, was to call that out. Whereas what we see with Hosea is coming against and calling out the leaders, specifically the religious leaders. So we saw in the last verse in chapter 9 how he was referring to what was happening in the northern kingdom as what happened in the city of Gibeah. And I told that whole story in the last video, so I don't want to go into that. But now in verse 10, we're not going to get very far. We're only going to get through verse 10, because verse 10 is also very deep. Okay, so verse 9 was referring back to a specific situation, and now verse 10 is as well. So verse 10, it says, I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first fruits on the fig tree in its first season. Okay, so that's beautiful, right? So God's saying he saw them, he called them out, they were beautiful to him, they were like the first fruits, they were perfect, and they were in the wilderness, and God took them in, right? So God chose them. But then it says, but they went to Baal Peor and separated themselves to that shame. They became an abomination like the thing they loved. All right, so here, that's as far as we're going to get today, because right now what he's doing is just like in verse 9, he was referring back to the story of what happened with the concubine and the Levite and this at the very end of Judges, right? The last chapter of Judges. Now we're seeing him refer back to chapter 25 in Numbers. And what I want to do is I want to give you a heads up to what he's referring to. So Numbers is when they were coming out from Egypt, right? So Moses and Joshua, all those guys are still there. They had just come from Egypt, seen all the things that God did in Egypt, all the miracles. They'd won all these battles. They'd seen God do all these crazy things. And so they were walking in the literal presence of God every day, right? But in the midst of that, they really screwed up. So what you see here, let me get to this chapter. So if you go to Numbers, this starts in Numbers chapter 22. So Numbers chapter 22 through 24 tells the story of Balaam. So do you remember Balaam? Balaam is the one that had the talking donkey, right? So chapter 21, you see that this is where they had defeated the Amorites and Zion, king of the Amorites, and all these different battles had taken place. And Og, king of Bashan, right? So those are stories that you continue to see memorialized in the Psalms. So here in chapter 22 it starts. This is how chapter 22 starts. Then the children of Israel moved and camped in the plains of Moab. Okay, so they're in Moab, on the side of the Jordan across from Jericho. Now Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. Well, actually what God had done, right? But Israel, through Israel, God had worked. And Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because they were many, and Moab was sick with dread because of the children of Israel. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this company will lick up everything around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field." And Balak the son of Zippor was king of the Moabites at that time. Then he sent messengers to Balaam the son of Beor at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, "Look, a people has come from Egypt. See, they cover the face of the earth and are settling next to me. Therefore, please come at once, curse this people for me, for they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed." So this is where they're sending the leaders of Midian and Moab are sending to Balaam, the prophet, seer, I don't know what you would call him. He does hear from God, but he's not strictly God's person, right? God does use him, but he's not God's guy. But he's almost like a wizard or something. I don't know what you would describe him as. I haven't looked in the commentary, so I'm not 100% sure. But this is the guy who they're calling out to curse Israel, because Israel has come out of Egypt. They've defeated all these other nations, and now they're camped by Moab, right? So the whole story, we all know that story, right? So he cannot curse them. The donkey ends up talking to him because of the situation, but he ends up blessing Israel because God will not allow him to curse them, right? So Moab is not successful in utilizing Balaam to curse Israel. So what happens? Is they use the women, right? So now let me read to you, because what he's referring to here in Hosea is chapter 25. But 25 begins with 22 through 24, which is Moab's attempt to curse them and to attack Israel in one way, right? But he was not successful, so now he uses women, right? They use the women to seduce the men. So here, let me just read to you chapter 25. Now this is Numbers chapter 25, which is what Hosea is referring to back in chapter 9, verse 10. So Numbers chapter 25. Now Israel remained this is after they were unsuccessful in cursing them, right? Now Israel remained in Acacia Grove, and the people began to commit harlotry with the women of Moab. They invited the people to the sacrifices of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. So Israel was joined to Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was aroused against Israel. So that's exactly what he's referring to there, Hosea. This is all the way back at the very beginning when they were walking with God. God was doing all these things, and they did this major screw up. Then it says, "Then the Lord said to Moses, take all the leaders of the people and hang the offenders before the Lord out in the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may turn away from Israel." So Moses said to the judges of Israel, "Every one of you kill his men who were joined to Baal of Peor." And indeed, one of the children of Israel came and presented to his brethren a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. So this guy was so bold. He takes this woman that he's having an affair with, a Midianite woman from Moab, and presents her. Just says, "Here I am. This is who I'm with. Tough luck." And he does this right in front of Moses, and he does this when they're all weeping and asking for forgiveness for what they've done. And so it says, in the sight of Moses, in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Now when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her body. So the plague was stopped among the children of Israel, and of those who died in the plague were 24,000. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned back my wrath from the children of Israel, because he was zealous with my zeal among them, so that I did not consume the children of Israel in my zeal. Therefore say, Behold, I give to him my covenant of peace, and it shall be to him and his descendants after him a covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God and made atonement for the children of Israel." Now the name of the Israelite who was killed with the Midianite woman, was Zimri, of the son of Salu, a leader of a father's house among the Simeonites. And the name of the Midianite woman who was killed was Cosbi, the daughter of Zur. He was head of the people of a father's house in Midian. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Harass the Midianites and attack them, for they harassed you with their schemes by which they seduced you in the matter of Peor, in the matter of Cosbi, the daughter of a leader of Midian, their sister, who was killed in the day of the plague because of Peor. I'm out of time. I'll do another video. Peace. Read your Bible.